congratulations. This is now step 2 and action 2. I can tell you this is the most important section. It's the most important section because your chapter 3 will determine to a greater extent if the project will be successful or not. For chapter 3, you will conclude all of these listed points above. You start with the financial analysis, going to the business analysis. You look at some failure report on topic 8, and you will do your conclusion and recommendation. Starting with the financial analysis, for each of your analysis, let's say you analyze revenue. As soon as you're done with revenue, you snapshot it and send it to your mentor on WhatsApp. We encourage active engagement between the mentee and the mentor. Snapshot each, not sending all at once. Snapshot each of them and send it to your mentor on WhatsApp for a quick review. When you are done with everything, you can now submit everything for a final review by your mentor and also by the review department. Going to the analysis, we're starting with financial analysis, and this is very important because the business factors which you have pointed out, which should be both internal reasons and external business factors that you have pointed out under the financial analysis, must be explained or critically explained in more detail in the business analysis section. Meaning that in your financial analysis section, you are pointing it out as a reason which led to the movement in the ratio. While in your business analysis section, you are doing a critical explanation of such business factors that you have pointed out in the financial analysis. This is called synchronization, and one of the key important tools or factor you really need to pass topic 8. Starting with your financial analysis, ratio analysis must be industry focused. Depending on the industry you're writing, you need to research and agree with your mentor what the ratios of this industry is. So based on that, you will focus on that. So this is based on assumption of a typical manufacturing industry. Of course, food industry is one of the industry that is selected for period 35. So point 2, examiner gives priority to revenue, yes, to measure the growth, gross profit margin, operating profit margin, and net profit margin. Why? Examiner really want to see a logical flow in your analysis. So even if you are using other sector, try to have a kind of logical flow where you can talk about the growth, you can talk about gross profit margin, operating profit margin, and net profit margin. In a short time, I really want you to understand what the logical flow is, and you can only understand that after understanding the components of the stated ratios. Of course, to effectively analyze any ratio, you must understand effectively what a component is. I'm going to an Excel sheet where I can point out the component of the ratio. Okay, loading. Come on, it's not internet. All right, for example, we said gross profit margin, and as you can see, gross profit margin will be a gross profit divided by the revenue times 100. What lies in between gross profit and revenue is the cost of sales. Okay, so cost of sales becomes a very important component because you must have analyzed revenue, which is a growth. So cost of sales becomes a very important component you need to focus on when you are analyzing gross profit margin. This explanation can be applied to any other ratio for you to understand the components of the ratio. Let's say for example, uh, 2014 gross profit, 2015 gross profit margin was low. We check the cost of sales. What's the percentage of cost of sales to sales? Check it up. You have done it. What is the percentage of cost of sales to sales? You see, in this scenario, we can see cost of sales reducing by 20%, while revenue only reduced by 6%, meaning that they are running at higher cost. So if they are running at higher cost, just giving you an idea. If they are running at higher cost, what are the internal factors? Is it their machinery? What are the external factors? Is it the inflation rate in the economy? Check the inflation rate in the economy in that very year. If it's high, that's one of the reasons. So that's to tell you that you don't even need to see it in an article pointing in that this is the reason why cost of sales was high. So you must be proactive enough. Is there an adverse exchange rate volatility that has significant impact on direct material? So search out those things, make research about those things, and make your point. So the next component we're going to talk about is the operating profit margin, and you can see what lies in between operating profit margin is the distribution cost, selling and distribution cost, administrative expenses. Okay, so you are analyzing 3 years, okay, of course with a graph. Okay, so don't forget the graph is your focus. You are analyzing 3 years, or what are the movements within the 3 years. Okay, so these are the variables of operating profit margin. Let's say for example 2014 operating profit margin was way too low. You have to look at the variables. What are which variables are really responsible for such a bad operating profit margin? You need to look at the variable, and from the variable you can now do a further research, because what you are actually doing is a focused research. You are not just trying to find out information. The first thing is know what the problem is, then you now find out research to answer the problem. See, you do it. This is a focused research. So net profit margin, the variables in between net profit margin are taxation, finance expenses, very important. Let's say for example in 2015 the net profit margin was way too low. You want to check the finance cost. Is the finance cost huge? If the finance cost huge, yeah, there are two major reasons that could lead to that. It's either the company is geared or highly geared, paying huge interest cost. And what is the monetary policy rate? Is the monetary policy rate high, interest rate high? What is the cash reserve ratio in the economy? These are the factors you will use. Examiner expect external business points and also internal reasons. These are the factors you use to explain your points. Okay, I haven't mentioned the variables. I haven't mentioned that. You need to take good note of that. Then the next thing is your analysis should cut across a wider range of ratios covering growth, profitability, liquidity, long-term financial stability, and investors ratio. Don't forget, I said examiner gives priority to these 4 ratios: revenue, gross profit margin, operating profit margin, net profit margin. They want to see a logical flow, but you should have some ratio for liquidity, like current ratio, working capital management ratio. You should have a ratio for long-term financial stability, like gearing and interest cover. You should have at least a ratio for investors ratio, like earnings per share. So a wider covering of ratio is very important. There are some failure reports that we've received based on that. Suggest discussing all 3 years together instead of separating in different paragraphs. Discuss all 3 years together. Specific events / driver pertaining to a particular year must be specifically mentioned during information gathering. I'm going to show you any specific event that has happened to a company in a particular year is very, very, very important. Major events. If you don't mention those major events that have happened to that company, the lab will likely fail. We'll move to the next section.